Hey y'all, I'm Mz Good Newz and you're watching Let's Talk Good News, the show where we shine a light on the stories that lift us, inspire us, and remind us that good things are always happening in our community. That's right here in Salisbury or wherever you are. Feel welcome to tune in to My 12 TV. Right here, Let's Talk Good News. From game changers to everyday folks making a difference, we're bringing you the positive, the powerful, and the purpose-driven news you've been waiting for. So grab your coffee, bring your smile, and let's talk about the good that's happening right now. Because around here, we celebrate what's right.
We are live right here with Let's Talk Good News, and we have a special guest on today. Yes. So we have Brock Morgan, an alum from Howard University, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. So welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me. Hello, everybody. My name is Brock Morgan, proud alum of Howard University, HU, and current master's student at Northwestern University in Chicago.
Yes, and y'all see his lovely shirt, okay? Representing. We have to represent, all right? So listen, I am so happy that you are here. This is the very first show in Let's Talk Good News. How important is it to have good news in your life?
It is. It's very important to have good news. Just being in the journalism industry, unfortunately, a lot of newsworthy things are negative things. So that's one of the things they teach you when you're putting together a show. Try to end it on good news. Try to incorporate good news whenever you can. And then just not even news, just in life in general, just having a balance here and there. So
that's right.
Always important.
Well, we know you know about balance. Yes. Okay, we know you know about balance. Let me tell you first, go back. When I first met Brock Morgan, I'm so glad that I did. Shout out to Dr. Parrish, okay? She is a professor at Livingstone College, and she actually referred me to you or referred you to me, however, but we did get together. And I was so pleased. I was so excited to meet you. And when you came, it was like magic. Okay. He was just so polite and so kind, and he knew exactly what he wanted. And so can you shed a little light on why you met with me and what exactly were we doing?
So, like you said, Dr. Parrish was a great resource. Dr. Parrish actually went to school with my dad at Livingstone, and Dr. Parrish is very well connected at North Carolina A&T, which is one of the schools I applied to and got into and won a scholarship for when I was considering where I was going to get my master's from. So that was how I originally met Dr. Parrish. And then from there, she just knowing that I'm in the journalism industry, connecting with different people and things like that. So that's when I was able to meet you. And, obviously last week we got to have Coach on the radio. So that was my first time live on the radio. So just, the industry, as a lot of industries are, it's all about who you know. So I appreciate you being a resource.
And I appreciate knowing you now. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate knowing you now. So let's get into what you have going on, because I know a lot of times the younger generation are overlooked unless they're doing something really, really major. And, so I know with you, even before you got into college, was it the 11th and 12th grade where you started to petition for the school? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so that was the summer of 2020. It was COVID. Everybody was out of school. So I remember sitting at home and seeing all the protests and things like that happening and just kind of feeling excluded from it, not being a part of it. So just kind of looked around and wanted to see what I could do to kind of be a part of the movement, kind of continue that. So in the summer of 2020, I started a petition to change the name of Woodrow Wilson Elementary School. From there, it was picked up by the local media, and the Kannapolis School Board voted 12-0 to change the name of Woodrow Wilson Elementary School, and it caught the attention of our town's mayor. And from there, I was personally selected to be the chair of the Kannapolis Youth Council by unanimous decision in front of the Kannapolis City Council. And also, that's what I wrote my college essay about, the essay that got me into 22 schools, including Howard. And so, yeah, that's kind of the story.
That's awesome. So for the people who don't know, what was the meaning or what was the reason for you changing or wanting to petition to change the name?
So Woodrow Wilson, he was a president of America's yesteryear. He kind of he did stand in the way of a lot of civil rights legislation. His rhetoric and a lot of the things that he was on record saying about people of color, African Americans specifically, they were not good things. They weren't things that should represent a city like Kannapolis. They weren't things that should represent a school system. So that's what led me to do that.
Well, we are so glad that you did that. Okay.
It wasn't me. It was the community.
It was the community.
I organized it. That's all.
Well, see, and that's why they chose you anonymously. Okay. But listen, I'm so again glad that you're here. I'm so glad that we're talking about you and what all the great things that you have going on. Because if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, we have to continue to encourage people that are doing a good job in the community and in their lives. And so not only are you an alum from Howard University, but now you're going to Northwestern. And what are you focusing on now?
So Northwestern will be a Master of Science in Journalism with a concentration in sports media. Northwestern is the number one school of journalism in the country. Chicago, it's been voted the number one school for the number one city in America for the past couple of years in a row. So I'm really excited to be there. When I talk about Howard, I say the two best things about it are the brand and the location. When you're in professional spaces, to say that you were at Howard, say that you went to Howard, that means something,
right.
Especially with this past election year and everything. And not just this past election, but all of the great alums that have came before.
Right.
And also the location, to be able to go to the White House twice, to be able to go to the Capitol building twice. I was a production assistant on First Take when they broadcasted from campus, on Pardon the Interruption, on the Scott Van Pelt Show, MSNBC's The Weekend. So just continuing to take advantage of everything that goes on in DC, and not just in DC, but on campus as well. I was able to write for the newspaper. I wrote for the magazine. I was the head of business operations for Spotlight Network. I was on the editorial staff for the magazine. So just continue to get my feet wet, continue to build the resume, get the experience. So, football is obviously my favorite sport. And I feel like it's a good metaphor for life too. If you want to be in the media industry, the journalism industry, when you're on these calls, when you're on these interviews, when you're meeting people, it's the same thing as football. You want to go to the next level, you want to play in college, that coach is going to say, hey, show me some tape.
That's
and the same thing in the media industry too. Hey, you want to come write for somewhere big, you want to be on TV somewhere big, show me something you did in school. So show me something you did freelance.
And you did it. You did it. You did a lot. So what would you say to other students that are like that, like you, and they're just trying to pursue that journalism and communications? Because to be honest, we all are in communications, right? Because we all have to communicate, whether it's body language or our conversation and our tone. It's everything that means communication is who we are as people. But what would you say to students that are trying to pursue that? How do they go about juggling all of that? Because you just mentioned a lot of stuff. So
for that, I would really go back to my dad. My dad, he's a proud alum of Livingstone College. He got his master's later on in life. And for him to come from a single parent household and from a small town like Beach Island, South Carolina, he continues to push me and my brother. And, one thing that he always tells you is, either you grow up or you fold up, fish don't jump in the boat. So just kind of remembering that and having that mentality to go along with it. And, Howard specifically, is known for a lot of business and their medicine and things like that. So, and socially, we kind of catch a little bit of heat being in the communications field and things like that. But, there's no industry that can function without journalism. There's no industry that can function without people in communications, connecting people and making sure that everybody is on the same page. And the second part of the question, I'm sorry.
No, that's pretty much it. Like, how do you go about how do you juggle all of those things? Because you have so many things that you are doing. But like you just said, your dad said what?
Fish don't jump in the boat.
Fish don't jump in the boat. Okay, yeah. So you don't want to fold. We're not going to fold. Okay.
Right.
So kudos to that. Kudos to your dad and your family. You have a beautiful, amazing family. So what is one of your goals as a journalist, moving forward? Because to separate yourself from all other journalists, because there's so many. There's a lot of us out there. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that it is a little bit daunting to think about sometimes, but to be honest, it's just like any other field. If you're a doctor and, you're at a local family practice, that's one thing. But if you're a doctor and you're the head of a department at a major hospital in a major city, that's another thing. And same thing with journalism. If you're a sports guy at a local station, that's one thing. If you're Stephen A. Smith making $100 million, it's a little bit different. And then just one thing I always try to remember is just to keep God first. Growing up in the church, I'm proud to be the youngest pulpit associate in church history, formerly served on the technology team and junior usher and the children's choir, things like that. And my favorite verse is 1 Samuel 18:14. And everything he did, he had great success because the Lord was with him. And that's just one thing I try to remember too. And just remember that the story's already written. So I just try to be the best I can, because, you know, the goal is not to be the next Stephen A. Smith, not to be the next Ryan Clark or anything. I want to be the first Brock Morgan. So just continue to be the best I can be. That's all.
Well, you are that. You are Brock Morgan, okay? The first and the best at being you and getting better every day. Again, I'm so grateful that you even came on the show to talk about everything. Now, what is your personal things that you do for fun? Do you have anything outside of the list of things that you do for work and building your character and everything? What do you do for fun?
So this summer is a little bit different for me. You know, this is the summer with no football and no summer school. So just kind of taking a gap summer, taking a step back, you know, spending some time with family, traveling a little bit. Some of my hobbies, I enjoy working out. You know, I went for a jog this morning. You know, I enjoy shooting pool. You know, that's something that me and my dad kind of bond over, things like that. Classic cars. I enjoy classic cars. So those are a couple of my hobbies.
Well, listen, I love it. I thank you. I love it. I'm eating it up because, again, we have to continue to put good out so that we can receive good into ourselves, our hearts, and in our communities, and continue to add value. Is there anything that you are hoping to do or difference? Because I know you're in politics as well, okay? But is there anything that you're hoping to shift and change in our world and in our communities? You know, just overall, not just one specific culture, gender, you know, but everybody. There's anything that you are trying to change or add value to?
I would definitely just say lead by example. You know, it's one thing to kind of, and again, being on a team, you know, it's one thing to kind of be in the middle and you're yelling, you're screaming, you're talking, things like this. But, you know, if you lead by example, you know, slowly but surely over time, people will kind of follow that, so to speak. And then Jesse Oppenheim, he's a current congressional candidate for North Carolina's 8th district. I was able to meet him in Charlotte at a journalism meeting, and he'll be on the radio with him on August 22nd.
Right.
And one thing I talked to him about when we first met is, you know, kind of what the biggest issue in politics is. And, you know, when he asked me that question, I said education. I feel like education is the most important thing. And it doesn't always mean going to school for 3 or 4 years and getting a degree like I did. It doesn't always mean getting a master's degree like I'm currently doing. But, you know, folks in electricians, they're important, you know, plumbing and HVAC folks, our cosmetology people, our barbers, things like that, you know, your associate's degrees and things like that. Because at the end of the day, if people are qualified for these jobs, you know, they're going to go get them. And they're making this money. They aren't just going to, you know, sit on it and put it up under their bed. They're going to be spending it. They're going to buy nice cars and nice houses. That's nice shoes. They're going on vacation. And then that tax money, you know, can then come back in. So me personally, I feel like that's the best thing.
I think so too. And so as far as college students, I'm glad you brought education up because education is a big deal. But what would you say for college students or high school students going into college? What are some things that they should look at or be their determining factor of whether they should go or not? Because like you said, college is not for everybody sometimes. And sometimes it's not the best route for them. Even early on, you can go back and, you know, it's different things. But what would you say is one of the defining factors of whether you should go or not?
I know this is going to sound cliche to a lot of people, but it really is on you. You know, that's one of the early times where you have to decide what you want to do, things like that. So I would say have a plan. That's number one. You know, some people, they go into college, they change their majors 2 or 3 times. They're stuck, you know, having to put semesters on top of semesters. So thankfully I did not have to do that. I knew I wanted to be in the media field coming in. I was comfortable with it. I liked it. I stayed with it, things like that. And then I would say go visit. That's the most important thing. I would say go visit, you know, talk to your parents, your uncle, auntie, whoever. You know, if you're doing sports, you know, like I did, you know, talk to your coaches, you know, try to come on visits, things like that. I would just say that's the most important thing. Get on campus, you know, walk the campus, you know, try and meet with professors, you know, stop and talk to people, you know, hey, what's your experience here? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? And then I would say just understand what's around you too. So going back to Howard being in DC, I knew the Capitol was going to be a big resource for me. So then just going back to that too, you know, if you want to do media, you know, DC might be a great place for you. You know, if you want to do, you know, medicine or something like that, you might want to be in a city or a state that has a lot of hospitals or things like that. So that's what I would say. And then last one, most important, is just have fun. You know, I had fun at Howard University. It was a great place to be at. So yeah, that's all I got.
I like, well, that's a lot. He said, that's all I have, but that is a lot. So again, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that y'all check us out every Friday or every other Friday on My 12 Channel TV. All right. And that's at 8:30 a.m. on Fridays. Make sure you check us out. Again, this is Brock Morgan, and I think that he is a wonderful man. And I'm so glad that you are a part of our community and you are making every place that you touch a better place. So yes, thank you.
I appreciate that. All glory to God.
The commercial is brought to you by Promise City Church right here in Salisbury, North Carolina. Follow us on all social media platforms and especially YouTube.
Anyway, back to you. I hope that you can package up your, again, mannerism and give it to young men, because when people look, even when I met you, I was like, wait a minute, man. What are you doing here? You don't mean nothing here. But again, you were so humble and you still was like open to learn. And I think that's kind of what a lot of people miss, is just being open to learn and to grow. They feel like they have already maxed whatever it is that I'm perfected. So if you've already perfected your craft, there's no more room for you to grow. There's nowhere else for you to go. But if you're open to it, and then the mannerism with you is just the fact that you're very confident in your speech. And I think you take time to think about what you're saying. And it's okay if you pause. Some people they're not comfortable in their pause. I mean, did it take you time to get there to be comfortable in your pause?
Yeah. So for the speaking part of it, I think that goes back to my mother, growing up in church, like I said, senior usher choir, if the church was having something, those boys will be there, that was kind of one of those things. And I remember my first time speaking in church, it was some announcement or something. And I got in there and I read it real fast, and I went off. I was so nervous. But I mean, speaking just like anything else, the first couple of times you do it, not saying it'll be bad, but after you do it over and over and over again, you will get better at it. And I go back and I look back at some of my journalism stuff from freshman year and sophomore year, and I'm like, dang, what is this? But that's good though, because that's showing that, kind of progressing and things like that. And again, that goes back to football too, just understanding that you're never too good to get better. Even the pros, they practice, practice end on end, and they watch tape of, practice and whoever they're playing, and hours and hours and hours on end. So I feel like that's the best thing to do. And then, just going back to the future, I feel like the best thing you can do is to lead by example. Just representation matters in a lot of different ways. So just understanding that, and understand that somebody's always watching. So, just being the child of a teacher, that's, hey, that's Miss Morgan's son. That's Miss Morgan's son. And then again, being a football player too, we always get that speech at the beginning of the year, hey, you need to act right in the school building. They're not going to say, oh, that's Brock Morgan, that's Johnny, or that's whoever. They're going to say, oh, that's one of those football guys. So
that's right.
Just remember that it's bigger than you.
That's good, because then that speaks to value.
Yeah.
So like there has to be some type of unit or representation of value, like you saying, like my mom. Yeah. And I know that phone call. We grew up in the church. Yeah. Oh, she gonna be at the church. Yeah. She'll be there. She gonna be singing. You know, like, Mom, what? Okay, yes, ma'am. And because you're gonna be respectful. Yeah. So what is the quote? You have a quote on your website. And, just go ahead and shameless plug, hey, you go ahead and give your website out, because that is amazing. Okay. Yeah. So, but you have a quote on there and you say, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I said, writing is just speaking on paper, because, just going back to the skills that you build over time, as far as just doing things over and over and getting better at them. I feel like that's one of those things that go hand in hand. Writing is speaking. Speaking is writing. So I feel like, once you become a better writer, you become a better speaker, and things like that. It's all intertwined together,
Right.
And that's something my dad talks about a lot with his health. He'll go out and ride, 30, 40, 50 miles on the bike like it's nothing. And he's really tough on me and my brother, hey, you got to drink lots of water. You got to have fruits and vegetables and things like that. Cause he can't go out and ride all those miles if he's not eating right, if he's not doing the right things like that.
So it all works together. Yeah. I would love to meet this mom and daddy of yours. Okay. And the brother too. Okay. Go ahead and give them a shout out. Go ahead and shout your mama and your daddy and your brother out. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my dad, Quincy Morgan, he a proud graduate of Livingstone College. college, played on the championship team when they won the CIAA in the late 1990s. My mother, I know she's looking down. She's proud. And, you know, obviously, you know, I feel her a lot, you know, remembering those lessons and those memories, things like that. My brother, he's a rising senior at A.L. Brown High School. And, you know, he's continuing to come into himself. And, you know, I know he'll have a big year coming up, and he'll have plenty of decisions to make when it comes to college. So rooting for him.
Wow. And so let me ask you a question. Now, this is a personal question, a little bit personal. So, your mom, she passed. Okay. How long ago?
December of 23.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
I'm sorry about that.
I appreciate that.
But you still speak so highly of her. And maybe that too has another reason why you're so mannerable and just well spoken, and you just love on, and you can feel the love. It's almost as if, like you saying, I could feel her. She is definitely still with you because she's all in you. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know what she looked like, but I'm pretty sure.
We get told we look alike.
Okay, see? Oh, she's all in you. Yeah, she is definitely all in you. So, I mean, kudos to you, and then just to your perseverance. You keep moving and striving forward, because that's a hard thing and very challenging, or can be very challenging for anybody. I don't think anybody can be ready for that. So for you to keep doing what you're doing, that's amazing.
I appreciate that. And, you know, my mother, she's a proud graduate of A.L. Brown High School, like I am. You know, I'm a third generation graduate of A.L. Brown. She's a graduate of Winston-Salem State University, so I'm a second generation HBCU graduate. And she taught special needs for almost a quarter century. She taught for 24 years, almost up until the time of her passing. So just continuing to see how patient she is and how she loves on those kids and things like that, you know, is a very special thing to be. And then, you know, just going back to it, you know, hey, that's Miss Morgan's son. That's Miss Morgan's son.
Right.
Just understand that it's bigger than you. She taught kids with behavior issues for some time. And then I believe when I was in fifth grade, she went back and got recertified, and she taught kids with autism, K through 2, up until when she passed. So.
Wow.
But spent her entire time in Kannapolis City Schools.
That's amazing.
And she was the 2014 Hillbush Forward Teacher of the Year.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
Man, you got a lot of gems packed up in you. I mean, and what advice would you give, again, because I know it's personal for everybody and it's just subjective to whoever, but I recently met a student at Livingstone College, and she had recently lost her mother, but she's still moving forward. And it was just her, I'm thinking her two sisters. What would you say to that? Because, you know, mental health is important. And that, I'm pretty sure, can be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, everything draining and challenging. What would you say to the students that are still trying to press forward and they have had a great loss, whether it be mother or father?
Oh yeah, it's a load for sure. It's a load for sure. Just make sure you cope with it, however you cope with it. You know, one thing my pastor in DC, Dr. Kevin Hart, you know, one thing he said is, if you don't grieve, you'll bleed. And so, you know, it's got to come out in some way, you know, whether you find a counselor, whether you find a mental health professional, whether you write, whether you, you know, go blow off steam and exercise, or whatever it is you do, it's got to come out somehow. So I would just say that, just understand that. And then, you know, don't be sad it's over. Be happy it happened. You know, kind of try to remember the good times, try to remember the memories, a lot of the lessons and things like that. And, you know, nobody's perfect, but, you know, do what you can to make them proud. You know,
that's right.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, listen, that wraps it up, man. You done gave me a lot. You giving me a lot. So
I appreciate you.
Looking for that place that hits the spot? Come on out to Billy Social down at 110 South Salisbury Avenue, G2, Granite Quarry. To place your order, 704-431-0524. To have a menu sent directly to your phone, text 980-892-2403. Our days of operation are Thursdays and Fridays, 4 to 8 p.m. and Sundays, 1 to 5 p.m. Thank you all so much. Have a blessed day.
What's up, y'all? This is your girl, Mz Good Newz, and we are here. We are wrapping it up with Brock Morgan. Thank you so much for being a part of Let's Talk Good News.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Wishing you and the show all the success.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching Let's Talk Good News talk show with Mz Good Newz. Make sure you tune in on Fridays at 8:30 a.m. Fridays, 8:30 a.m. And make sure you follow us on all social media platforms.
Every clothing brand starts off as an idea, and then ideas turn into a vision. But where do you start at? How do you convey fitness to the people? You look, you research, you work long hours trying to get it together. I did, after I did, after I did, until you just don't know anymore. But then, it happens. You suddenly know what it is that you have to do. You know the sequence and orders that thing has to be put in. You know exactly how to convey to the people, how to be fit. But will they answer the call?
On this segment of Let's Talk Good News with Mz Good Newz, we want to highlight artist Janiyah May, 8 years old from Salisbury, North Carolina. She has hit the stage at Livingstone College for Homecoming 2024. She has hit the stage at many different events, opening up and sharing the stage with boss man D-Lo, Anthony Hamilton, and so many more. Congratulations to you, Janiyah May. Make sure you stream her music today on all streaming platforms.
Walking to the school, I'm so cool. Going to class cause you know I'm about to pass. Get my work done cause recess come fast. And you know I'm not the last cause we about to have a blast. Eyes open, thank you God.
Thanks for watching Let's Talk Good News talk show with Mz Good Newz. Make sure you tune in on Fridays at 8:30 a.m. Fridays 8:30 a.m. And make sure you follow us on all social media platforms.
What's up, my good people? This is your girl, Mz Good Newz, right here. Me and Brian on the other side of that camera. We are looking for students that are looking for love.
Okay.
Are you looking for love?
I actually have a girl.
You do?
I do have a girl, yeah. I'm sorry.
It's okay, but now, did you find your girlfriend at college? Did you?
Yeah, it's college town.
Okay, see, this is why we doing this. We doing it because we know that there's a lot of love stories that started in college.
Your son and I, we are putting a show together about love and finding love in college. Now, what's your story?
On the campus of St. Augustine's College in 1993, I was stepping, of course, with my sorors, the devastated Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
It must be Jellicoe Jam gonna shake like that.
Because I told him I wasn't going out with him. So I said, this dude's got to have some things going on in his head up. He gonna pay for everybody to eat just so he could take me. I decided that I would go out with him.
Right.
And I did.
And
the rest is history.
Thanks for watching Let's Talk Good News talk show with Mz Good Newz. Make sure you tune in on Fridays at 8:30 a.m. Fridays 8:30 a.m. And make sure you follow us on all social media platforms.